All right, we're ready. Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, August 18th, 2026 edition of the Clawson City Council meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order and I am going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I invite those who wish to join me to do so.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. This evening, we have words of inspiration brought to us by the Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke. Mr. O'Rourke?
Yep. All right. Well, tonight I want to begin with a simple reminder that we are called to love our neighbor as ourselves. In a time when division can so easily take hold, that command is as important as ever. We are not called to meet one another with anger or contempt, but with humility, grace, and love. Public service is at its best an act of service to others. It asks us to listen patiently, to speak truthfully, to seek peace, and to remember that every person has inherent worth because each of us is made in the image of God. We will not always agree, but unity does not require uniformity. It requires charity. It requires mercy. It requires the willingness to see one another not as opponents, but as neighbors. So tonight, let us do this work with wisdom, with humility, and with our hearts oriented toward what is good, just, and loving. May we be guided by a spirit of service, and may we never lose sight of our duty to care for one another.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Moffett.
Present.
Councilmember Duberstein.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Here.
Councilmember Pelton.
Here.
Councilmember Slawinski.
Present.
Councilmember Spisak.
Present.
Councilmember Tinley.
Here.
All right, we have a full board. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make an amendment to before we approve the agenda, if that's possible.
You make a motion.
Make a motion, yes, ma'am. I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to strike item 9I from the agenda.
And approve the rest as presented, right?
Well, I would also like to strike the second part of 16, the evaluation of the city manager. I personally believe that's better done in a one-on-one setting.
That's
with each
his
councilman.
choice, though. That's not our choice. So
Okay.
it's his choice if he wants to do it in open public or do it in closed session. That's up to him.
Okay.
So that's not for us to decide.
It's not exactly accurate. I think to have discussion, though, you need a second. You can discuss.
Support.
Is there something you wanted to share? Did you?
So the clarification is, the requirement is to have a evaluation. It can be, it's on the agenda, but the prerogative of the person that's being evaluated is to go in closed session if they want to.
Right.
So the evaluation, whether it's one-on-one, not on a council agenda or not, is the issue. It doesn't have to be at a council meeting. It doesn't have to be in closed session. In fact, historically, I've done all mine in open session. So if he would like to strike it, if you recall, I mentioned on a Friday feedback that I said I thought that was pretty productive because I had met with a handful of you as individuals, and I made that suggestion. And Councilmember Duberstein.
I misunderstood what you meant. You want to change the nature of the evaluation process.
Yes, ma'am.
But at the time, just to remove it so that it would enable the council members to effectuate that.
So as a discussion, Councilmember Tinlin.
I'm thinking fast here. So, since this is not a roll-up scoring from our individual rankings, or really only individual scoring, I would support either having closed session at your request or individual one-on-one. So I'm open to that because it's not where all our numerical values are going to go into a single assessment per the ordinance.
Councilmember Spisak.
I would agree with Councilmember Tinlin. I have nothing further on that one.
Councilmember Slawinski.
Either way works for me.
Since I'm going this way, I'm going to say I prefer doing it as a group so that we can understand where each other stands. If we do it one-on-one, I don't know what feedback Councilmember Tinlin gave, or we operate as a body on everything. We don't operate as individual pieces of that body. And to that end, I think that something like this needs to be done as a body, so I would not personally support it. Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke?
So I guess the big thing, it's going to be in closed session regardless. You're not doing open session, correct?
I don't have to divulge that, but historically, I do it open session. I'm just
It's your
saying-
choice, though, right?
It is my choice.
Yeah, so I'm asking which are you choosing? Close.
I mean, I don't have to tell you that right now. I mean, chances are I'll do an open session. I'm just in agreement that from the experience of meeting with you guys one-on-one, or maybe what you do is you strike it and you develop your own evaluation, I mean, which I think can be done fairly quickly. Either way, I don't care. I mean, if you guys want to go ahead and do it, we can do it in open session. It doesn't bother me. I just thought it made more productive sense from the conversations I've had with several of you individually.
Okay, yeah, I guess if it's going to be closed session, I don't care if it's one-on-one or if we do group settings. So either way works for me.
Councilmember Peltonen?
I would be fine with either way. It doesn't really make a difference to me. And so for striking, that would just be, we keep it at 4 minutes, I'm presuming? Okay. Then, yeah, I'd be fine with both of those.
I would just, I think it'd just be more productive if we did them individually. That's, if council votes that way, so be it. If not, so be it.
So to clarify, the motion on the table is to approve the agenda with removing item I and removing the city manager's evaluation from item number 16. So roll call, please.
Mr. Tinlin, were you the second?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Duerstein?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke?
Yes.
Councilmember Pelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Slawinski?
Yes.
Councilmember Spishak?
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin?
Yes.
Mayor Mott?
No. All right, the motion passed. So we are removing item I and removing the city manager's evaluation from the closed session. Moving on, the next item on the agenda is public comment for items on the agenda. I invite those who wish to speak.
Madam Mayor, I'm sorry.
What did I do wrong?
Oh, you just skipped the approval of the agenda. You voted on the motion to amend, but not the actual motion to approve the agenda.
He said,
Oh, did you do it as amended? My apologies.
Yeah.
We take it back. You did it perfectly, Madam Mayor.
Don't confuse me. I'm already confused enough as it is.
You're
All right.
good.
Breathe. Let's move on to public comment for items on the agenda. We invite those who wish to speak to items on the agenda to come to the podium. You'll be given 4 minutes to speak. We ask that you state your name and whether or not you're a resident of the city. And we ask that you only come up once. And I think I've covered everything. So if you would like to speak to items on the agenda, I invite you to come to the podium to speak to items on the agenda.
Jamie Gills, Takanochi, Clausen resident. Tonight I want to talk about trust. Before we ask homeowners to spend potentially tens of thousands of dollars on sewer tap repairs, residents need to trust that the city's answers are complete, accurate, consistent, and legally grounded. When we asked for the legal authority requiring homeowners to repair their sewer taps, it took 4 attempts to get there. First, an ordinance number that didn't exist, then another ordinance that didn't apply. A Michigan statute was sent out on a Friday feedback but never mentioned. And finally, the city pointed to Charter Section 11.03, which does not define what a private line is. Other cities, including Troy and Berkeley, they define the private line and where the homeowner's responsibility ends. Clausen does not. The city says that the homeowners are responsible for sewer taps. Show us the legal authority that establishes that responsibility for the tap itself. The city has identified 20 taps now with some level of structural damage. The other 83 have roots, mineral deposits, or both, and must at a minimum be cleaned and inspected. And it's important that we know the city's CCTV can only see the tap at the main sewer line. So for 83 properties, the city does not know what work will ultimately be required. It could be minor, it could be substantial, it could be expensive. We just don't know. The city should say that plainly and not give homeowners the impression that the expensive repairs have now been narrowed down to 20 properties. Repair costs of approximately $8,000 to $20,000 have been stated, and we were told that 85% to 90% of the city's mainline sewer is in the center of the road. We still don't know how many of those 83 require open cut access. 2 affected homeowners have received plumber estimates of $26,000 and $31,000, $6,000 to $11,000 more than the city's $20,000 high-end estimate. The city says our taps can damage its main. Before assigning 100% of the cost to homeowners, show us that the city's infrastructure did not cause or contribute to these conditions. I'm not saying the city caused them, but I'm saying the city should look at that. And why must homeowners provide a plan within 90 days and complete the work within 1 year when the city itself is taking longer than a year to address problems within its own sewer systems? Why are homeowners being sent out individually to negotiate potentially expensive repairs instead of the city pursuing block bidding and coordinating the work with planned road and infrastructure projects? The packet talks about financing. We shouldn't have to borrow money for repairs the city has not established is our responsibility. I encourage council not to move this policy forward as proposed. We need to answer more questions before we put this whole financial burden on homeowners. At the last meeting, we were told there is no appeal process, that if a homeowner disagrees with the city's determination, their only avenue is litigation. Litigation is extraordinarily expensive for us and for you. And it's not a way to resolve questions that the city should be able to answer administratively and transparently. And then something that just happened up here, I want to say I agree 100% with the mayor. One-on-one evaluations is not how this should work, in my opinion. He answers to you as a board. If you need to put some improvement plan in place, one of you can't do that. If you want to reward him for good work, one of you can't do that. He answers to you as a board, and he should be reviewed by you as a board. Open or closed session, really don't care, but one-on-ones are just meetings. That's not how this should work.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to items on the agenda?
How's it going? Mike Rice, 851 Goodale, long-term Clausen resident. I believe in the slogan, little city with a big heart. We can't kick old people out onto the street. I don't know if that's up for grabs or right. I have 25 years of plumbing and piping experience. I happen to know that when I do sewer replacement in the city of Clausen, there's a spot at the sidewalk where now I need a bond. It's a greenbelt area. If I go into the street, it's this whole other bond I have to get, right? Nowhere, and I mean nowhere else, hopefully people are watching and listening, nowhere else do the citizens get stuck with the city's problem. Ever. It doesn't happen, okay? Please don't let this snake take you one-on-one like a detective would, a crooked detective, no offense, sir, to get what they want. That's what he's gonna do one-on-one with you. Thank you, Mayor. I wanna help with the old people. I delivered their mail. Sometimes older people like that, the mailman's the only person they see. And it was an amazing gift to be able to do that. I have skills. I have 25 plus years of plumbing experience. I'm a plumber, and I'm saying right now, with the cost that all these sewer taps are gonna be, We have the city. We have the trench boxes. We have the people. I'll volunteer. $200 a day. Put me to work. I know how to fix these taps. Let's do it in the city. Let's keep the money here and not take it from the people. And Jesus Christ, you're gonna have to answer for the shit you do here, bud.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to items on the agenda?
My name is Mike. I'm from Royal Oak, but I got a lot of friends in Clawson. And regarding the taps, I'm kind of curious on the responsibility of it being for the homeowners when the taps are allowing access for the homeowners into your system. So technically, to me, it would be part of your system, not the homeowner's system. No different to me than Detroit Edison running their pipeline to the meter tap. It allows me access to theirs. Gas line, same thing. How come it's the residents' responsibility to do the repair on the taps? Wouldn't you guys want to make sure it's done right, so it's done your way, so you guys do it? Allowing the homeowners access into your system? Why would it, and I know the taps are expensive. It's an expensive process. Like the gentleman said before, the bonds included. People don't have that money. Things are tight right now. Just kind of curious. Think about that.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to items on the agenda?
Hi, Karen on North Bywood. Regarding the taps and the sewer issues, I had connected with somebody, a company, that was waiting to hear back from. Did you connect with Rick? Okay, because they will not cheat, you know, they're honest, I've been associated or known those people since the 70s, so, my daughter's one of them. But anyway, yeah, I don't think it's right to basically spy on people. Like, no homeowners even anticipated this when this company started doing the water lines, right? Nobody saw this coming. Then all of a sudden it shows up and somebody wants to like make people hurry. It's basically so the city can get money, I would imagine, is the idea behind this. You have 90 days to spend, $30,000 to upgrade. They go naturally. When they go, the people are gonna have to have them fixed. Now everybody knows they got a possibility they could save. I don't think it's right to give them a mandate at all. 1 year, a 6 month, a 90-day, it's not right. You can't, because also, if you say, okay, I got an estimate today, and it's for $22,000, so it'll take me a little over a year to save that. But when you go a year later, do you think the price is gonna be the same? Nope. Everything's going up. Labor, there's a lot to this stuff. And it's really wrong to expect the people to swallow what's being fed them on this topic. Regarding the city manager, I believe it should be an open council meeting, open to the public, and he should have his review, not one-on-one, but with the entire council, so everybody is able to question him on the same topics. I don't think it should be grueling, but I don't think it should be easy, because he's the root of all problems.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to items on the agenda?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Nate Hira, Clawson resident. I live on Park Drive. I want to thank you, Mr. Gubenstein, for your abandoning of the time limit pursuit. I think that's very fair, and I think it would be a terrible thing for people to remember you for your first motions to be to silence our voice. So I think that was a good call. This is a good example of a meeting agenda where, because of the 3 weeks absence, it's quite a packed agenda. So if there's many topics to talk about, maybe we have a lot to say, and if so, 3 minutes would be difficult. I think that it was a mistake last meeting to leave the appointment of the planning commissioner spot on the consent agenda, particularly after someone, not just someone, a 70-year veteran of the military and of our community, expressed such significant concerns over the eligibility of that candidate. Maybe there is no debate about it. Maybe it's completely fine, but I heard no discussion among you. None of you even questioned it. You treated it like another dollar bill on the bills to be approved. So I don't know how that decision came to be, and I don't know why you guys did not stick up for the residents and challenge that and bring that up in discussion. So I've heard you guys say you are the fairest of them all and the most transparent of them all, and there was nothing righteous about that decision. So I hope it doesn't happen again. I noticed today the appointments are absolutely on the agenda, so it seems like there's a double standard in that regard. Clearly, I was not your choice, Madam Mayor, and that's fine. That's your prerogative. But there was other people that could have been considered that wanted to serve, that had extensive experience and really posed no threat to you, I don't think, and no threat to any resident. Maybe saw things a different perspective, maybe had a different priority. But I'm deeply concerned and continue to be concerned. This is a uniparty. You're all part of the same party, and you have a complete control over every decision and now over the appointment of every board member. And I would encourage you to consider the long-term goodness and wisdom of having perhaps some bipartisanship to open up these boards to people who don't necessarily think like you. They're not a threat to you. I'm not a threat to you. But we would like to have some bipartisanship if possible. I thought your words, pro tem, were very good, divinely inspired, I think it's safe to say. And that is in my heart. I wish nothing but the best for each of you, and I hope for your benevolence in our community. But I'll remind you, it was the people that were evidently in your way that were treated the worst in this community. Terribly defamed on Facebook, terribly treated by ethics board theatrics. Even I think you would agree to that. Those were your words at one time. People were humiliated over their water bills. Police camera videos were leaked to try to put people off from being on commissions or being chosen. These are terrible things that happened. And so as you say those words, I think you mean them. I don't think it was your idea to do those things individually, but they happened. And whoever is leading that, I really hope you can question the goodness that those tactics present to the community, because we all live here. Thank you very much for your service.
If anyone else would like to speak to items on the agenda, I invite you to come to the podium. Seeing no one else get up, we will close public comment to items on the agenda. We have no proclamations or presentations this evening, so we'll move on to the consideration of approving the following consent agenda, and I'm going to tag team this a little bit and have Mayor Pro Tem read the items that are up for consideration of on the consent agenda.
Yep. This consent agenda will include the minutes of the regular city council meeting held on Tuesday, July 21st, 2026. B, the list of bills in the amount of $5,341,314.65. C, consideration of appointment of Sandra Dory to Parks and Recreation Board to an unexpired term to expire May 1st, 2027. D, consideration of appointment of Kobe Moskowitz to the Parks and Rec Board to an unexpired term to expire May 1st, 2027. And E, consideration of appointment of Michael Shaw to Traffic and Safety Board, unexpired term to expire May 1st, 2028.
Madam Mayor, I move the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Discussion.
On a
Oh,
not a
okay,
consent.
that's right. Sorry.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke,
Yes.
Councilmember Felton,
Yes.
Councilmember Slawinski,
No.
Councilmember Spishak,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinley,
No.
Mayor Moffett,
Yes.
Yes.
All right, we have approved the consent agenda as presented. The next item on the agenda is consideration of a joint discussion with the Board of Ethics to review the Code of Ethics, Article 7, Division 1, Section 2.3-11, and to discuss board duties.
Madam Mayor, I move to open a joint discussion with the Clausen Board of Ethics to review Code of Ethics, Article V11, Division 1, Section 2-311, and discuss the board duties.
Support.
Mr. Riker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. During the Ethics Board meeting in April, the board and legal counsel discussed having a joint meeting/discussion with the city council to discuss the responsibilities of the Ethics Board and the new ordinance language.
How are you picturing this is going to take place? Are we just going to discuss, or are we going to invite them to sort of gather around us, or?
I would suggest they take turns at the microphone speaking, and that the city attorney can help facilitate the discussion.
Happy to do so, Madam Mayor. As the city manager indicated at our last Board of Ethics meeting, we had a couple of meetings, I should say. We had ongoing discussion with board members expressing a desire to have this joint conversation with you to speak about the new version, new ordinance that we have. Obviously, certainly a couple of our Board of Ethics members have been on the board throughout its various iterations, and they've seen the nature of their duties change. Obviously, that has, and I think this is I'll let them speak to it, but it's a feeling that they all share that, some of the changes have not been beneficial or appropriate. They would like to address council so that you can take from this discussion, their viewpoint, and then continue forward. And if you so choose, obviously, because any amendment to the ordinance belongs to this body, if you so choose to take up the matter and consider it and see if you want to make changes to it, improve it, take away, add, do whatever is necessary.
So before we get started, I have a quick question. I remember it was last year that we changed the ordinance in regard to the ethics board, right? This is a third iteration. Is that true?
That is true.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that was my understanding. So why don't we do this? We'll invite the members of the ethics board if you want to come to the podium. Tell us what's on your mind, and then we can go and have everyone here speak. Does that sound like a plan? Come on down. Tim, Commissioner, what are you? Mr. Quinn, do you want to be first? Sure. Just because I know your name for sure. So.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name's Timothy Quinn. I'm a lifer here in Clausen, 60-plus years. And I've enjoyed the ride so far. I think we all, as members of the commission, realize that we are here at the pleasure of the council. I believe you can let any of us go at any time. You can bring in new people. But I see our roles have changed quite a bit recently, and I think we all had questions, what exactly are we allowed to entertain as far as, people that might violate past ordinances that were in place. I guess we're just kind of trying to get a feel for what our role should be moving forward, maybe a clearer definition. Just open to your comments and what you think. Thanks.
Before you sit down, is there anything in particular about what's written here that you enthusiastically support, or that you would like to see maybe different?
You know, I came on a few years ago, and it seemed like the scope of things that we could entertain was much broader. And I thought, you know, what we're doing is helping the community. We're a vehicle that can be used when there are problems, get our ideas of how we feel things are. You know, I think we're all just average people wanting to do the right things for the majority, but if we see something that's not right, somebody's doing something wrong, and somebody brings a complaint, now it appears that the only thing we can entertain are conflicts of interest, I believe, things of that nature. So if that's how narrow the scope is now, that's fine. I just want to know if that's all we're going to be entertaining now, moving forward.
Okay.
I mean, I like the way it was written prior, but obviously changes happen, and we have to, you know, go with the changes. I guess we just want a clear understanding what really is our role moving forward.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I may, before the next member of the board speaks, maybe just to give us a little bit of background, if I may, put us all on the same playing field, starting with the charter, because obviously Mr. Quinn is exactly right. As you indicated earlier, you had two versions of the ethics ordinance, the first iteration of it, and then some amendments that were done thereafter. And then historically, sequentially, the next thing that occurred was a change in the charter, right? We adopted the new charter. And the new charter has a specific section that deals with the Code of Ethics. And it's section 430, it's conflicts of interest, ethics. And in section 2, it speaks to ethics directly. It says, the city shall, by ordinance, establish an independent board of ethics to administer and enforce the conflict of interest and financial disclosure ordinance. No member of the board of ethics shall hold any other elective or appointive office in the city government. To the extent permissible under state law, the ordinance shall authorize the Board of Ethics to issue advisory opinions, conduct investigations on its own initiative and on referral or complaint, and to refer matters to the prosecuting attorney. The City Council shall appropriate sufficient funds to the Board of Ethics to enable it to perform its duties, right? So that's the charter mandate. From the charter mandate, then we had to establish we made changes, the council made changes to that second amended version of the Code of Ethics ordinance, and it created this new Code of Ethics ordinance, which is before you on your agenda packet, which is very different from obviously what we initially had, as Mr. Quinn has pointed out. And the difference is substantive, right? In the initial ordinance, and then they'll take it up from here, I imagine, but in the initial ordinance, as you will recall, Madam Mayor, the focus was on the individual committing, whatever transgression was being complained about. In the current ordinance that is before you, the focus is on the act. Okay. Now, when you look at the charter's prerogative as to what the Board of Ethics can do, it is interesting. At one point, it talks about to the extent permissible under state law, and that's a substantive sentence, obviously, statement, obviously. It says the ordinance shall authorize the Board of Ethics to issue advisory opinions. That is precisely what the the Code of Ethics ordinance states right now as we speak. Then the next portion of it is states conduct investigation on its own initiative and on referral or complaint. The Board of Ethics, there's no state law that authorizes the conducting of an investigation of any board of the city. The City Council does not have such authority, and no board in the city would have more authority than the council does, right? So unfortunately, even though it states so, the board does not have that authority. And then beyond that, it says, and to refer matters to the prosecuting attorney. I have a concern with that one as well. I am the city's prosecuting attorney, but I'm not at all sure, on the contrary, that I would have the ability to prosecute a referral from the Board of Ethics, because it would be of a member of either the administration or the City Council. There would be an inherent conflict of interest. I would have to recuse myself. The matter would have to step out of the city's boundaries. That is not to say that it's an impossibility. Of course, it could happen, but to have a system designed as such as offered in the charter is problematic, right? And as such, I think And I'm not sure that our current ordinance is the most perfect ordinance that you could have, on the contrary. But as it's currently stated, that ordinance that you have before you has an articulation of the standard that can occur in the city, right? And a focus on the act itself, and basically gives the board the ability to opine on the act. Now, could the city council amend this current ordinance to say, yeah, we can go back to opining on the individual that is committing whatever transgression is being set upon, complained upon? Absolutely, of course you could, right? You could have any ordinance that you so choose. I think then that's your obligation would be, and I'll set it free from this point on and allow both the other board members as well as council to opine on it. That's your consideration, because obviously previous history had some bearing in council's consideration as to the current iteration of the ethics ordinance as well.
And if I could just springboard off that a little bit with some additional history, part of the other problems with the original ordinance was it sort of talked about matters that they could consider, but it really didn't give any guidance on, okay, you found someone having had committed an ethical, violated ethics, but then sort of then what? Like there was nothing like, wet noodles or whatever we were going to do. There was no, so I remember sitting in those meetings and the people on the board weren't sure, like, okay, so what? Now what happened? So there was no guidance really about what happened if a judgment came down with someone having had committed. So there was a lot of really good concepts, and so this is the natural evolution of something that new being brought to the city.
And I think, sorry, I didn't.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I also believe that, and this is just based on the experience that we had throughout, the enforcement of the various complaints. There was no articulation of a baseline standard, right? Everything basically was thrown to the Board of Ethics and said, you go ahead and make sense of it. And by definition, then, what we asked of the Board of Ethics was entirely too much. They struggled with, where do you even rein it in? A base articulation of a standard, again, in legal terms, would be something that we say, by a preponderance of the evidence, you make a finding, right? Or you have an established right. You have to have, for example, a preponderance of the evidence, Madam Mayor, meaning by 51%, you have to find that this is indeed a violation, based on the evidence that we reviewed. But there's also a preliminary baseline standard, which you can articulate, and we ought to, because not everything that is submitted to the Board of Ethics or to the city is properly sent to this board. We can have, we've had submissions that had nothing to do with ethics, but were sent to the board. The forms were filled out, but they were not ethical transgressions by anybody's understanding of ethical transgressions, but simply because it was a form was filled out and submitted, the board had to take it on and deal with it. If we articulate a baseline standard that says you have to, by probable cause standard, have a baseline a baseline that you satisfy before the matter is forwarded to the board, that may be something that the city council articulates, and I think may make sense. And this continues on. One of the other issues that we've had as well, I think, and I think the board members will tell you their opinions, is, we've had a difficult time sometimes in keeping, the issues germane to, the complaint itself, right, to the complaint action. And there's a natural tendency by all of us to begin the analysis and then, of course, to go and pursue the analysis wherever it may lead. And all too often, or I shouldn't say all too often, sometimes that has led the inquiry to be broader than the scope that we would naturally want, particularly when it comes to to situations that we sometimes face with employees, where we have employees who are part of unions, who are part of contractual agreements, who are employees of the city, falling under the city manager's purview, which means he's the one managing them, but then we're coming in on, sort of a fringe analysis and saying, well, the board will now opine on matters that are really discipline issues belonging to the city manager, right? We have that kind of cross of authority. So these are all things that I think we have to consider as part of this consideration.
All right, thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, to the city attorney, wasn't there a component of consideration, the legal exposure, that's why it was changed from like the act and not the person, because that pursuit can generate a legal exposure to the city?
Yeah, I think all those concepts, Madam Mayor, combined and sort of converged to inform upon that, reduction in the concept of the code of ethics and where it properly can go. I think the focus on the individual has proven problematic. As you may recall, I wrote the first version of the code of ethics. Right? I was obviously a big fan of it. I thought it would achieve all that, obviously it proved not able to. And I wanted it to have teeth to the best and greatest extent possible in order to have a strong sort of moral compass and basis to all that we do in the city. But the practice of it proved very difficult. It goes without saying. So it certainly changed my mind. And I imagine, obviously, council being involved as all of you were in your various, throughout time in your various capacities, you probably witnessed the same. And I think it is not an easy topic, obviously. It's not an easy thing to achieve and to do well. There's good reason why a lot of ethics ordinances throughout, Oakland County and beyond are rather tepid and limited. This is probably because they're difficult to properly maintain.
I remember because I was on council when it was written. That was back in 2020, just before COVID, right?
Right.
But I think that, like, it started off as an overly idealistic idea of what it could accomplish, and I think that's part of what I've listened to some of the meetings, and time and time again I've heard the members of the ethics board like asking, well, what should we be doing? What is our job here? And I think that's part of what we're trying to accomplish here. And what do we really want to do with this board? Because it's part of the charter, we're obligated to have it in place. So we need to make these people's time valuable and have them actually be able to, provide some sort of contribution with their time that they're spending on the board. So I'll shut up. And if we could have the next person who would, if you want to, I don't know everybody's names. So if you want to, the gentleman sitting right there with the glasses, come on up and tell us your name.
Good evening. So I'm Brian Murphy. I recently joined the board, and when I originally submitted my application to join, I'd say the scope of our purpose was significantly larger than where it stands today. And that's fine. As Tim said, is we serve at your pleasure, and however you define that scope is where we will operate. What I keep coming back to whenever I review this is I want to make sure that whatever this board does, it adds value. Because from what we can see right now in terms of our scope, it has a very small impact, and it's probably not the best use of the board's time. And so whatever it is that you decide to put on our mandate, making sure that it has the right amount of kind of teeth, as you said, behind it, but the right, including more than necessarily just like the main focus right now is the conflict of interest, effectively. But if that's what the board decides, that's fine. I think there's a lot more to ethics than conflict of interest. But so really it's the scope of our role and making sure that whatever it is that we do has something that comes forward from that to make an impact on the city.
So along the same lines of the same question I asked Mr. Quinn, Is there anything in particular that you're like, oh, that's a really great section, or if I was writing it by myself, I'd throw out?
I think it's too limited to be able to really comment on that. I think ethics spans significantly more than what is currently listed in the ordinance.
All right, thank you.
Hi, everybody. Annie Fenton. I've been on originally the Ethics Commission, now the Board of Ethics, since it started in 2020 or 2021. I can't remember. We were remote at the time, so time warp. I originally requested a workshop with the City Council, and I would like to reiterate my request to have a workshop with the City Council. This is not, in my opinion, the best format to have this conversation. I'm not here to defend or to condone any specific language, but I would, in the same vein that Mr. Murphy said, I would like to have a conversation with the City Council. This, as you note, is not a conversation with the City Council, so please note that. I was not at the April meeting, so can't speak to the conversation there. Obviously, one of the challenges around public meetings is that because this board meets on an ad hoc basis, there hasn't been another meeting, so there are no notes from that conversation, so I can't provide any content or feedback to that April conversation. I think I have a lot to say that is not necessarily appropriate for this format, and I think would be more organic and germane to an actual conversation. So I would like to have that happen sooner rather than later. But I will reiterate Mr. Murphy's comments, and I think Mr. Quinn's as well, that as the ordinance is currently written, there is no real need for the Board of Ethics. There is no specific role or value add, in my opinion, to how this ordinance reads. I think one of the bigger issues that we have not taken into consideration over time, which has come up over and over again, is actually the conflict of interest with the city attorney's position, the Board of Ethics, and the City Council and the administration. And so I think, if we really want to think about how this board should and could work, there are bigger pieces of the conversation other than just the actual language of the ordinance, but actually how this board should function, what its authority should be. Is it actually an independent body? Does it stay as an independent body? And what does that mean in terms of how we want to create the ordinance and the governance of this this board at this point? So I think I would like to encourage the City Council to and the administration to schedule time for us to have a workshop. I'm very open to that being a public workshop if that's feasible and doable. But I think that we need to come together with specific materials. I'm appreciative of the City Council, or excuse me, of the City Administration for coordinating this, but there was no feedback about what we were going to talk about, how we were going to talk about it. Don't have the ordinance language in front of me. It's just, are you available on this date? And so I think we need to do a better job, prepare ourselves for a more thorough conversation, and so we can get to a point of really understanding how to, to put the ordinance together if there is interest and appetite in rethinking that around what the structure and the outcomes of this board should be. So I'm going to leave you all with that, but really want to dig into this with you in a workshop format.
Do you think it would be more valuable to have someone outside from the city moderate that workshop?
I do. I think it'd be great if we could have somebody come, or maybe, a panel of folks who have experience doing this from other cities who want to come with some lessons learned in this conversation, who maybe have been doing this for longer than we have. I'd be very open to hearing from folks about how they organize their boards, how they have, thought about revising their language over time, and, kind of how that board operates, especially in the commissioner roles that you talked about at the beginning of the conversation, Mr. Nishai.
All right, thank you. And then one more person, and then we'll open it up for council discussion.
Erica Hardy, formerly Clute Cubbin, and I don't know who I need to say that to because I'm sure it's still wrong in the notes. Like Mr. Murphy, when I applied for this, it was at the time where it was a much broader scope what we were doing as a committee, and I was actually passed over for quite some time before I was appointed. There have been, I think, 2 meetings so far that we've been at, and I think the majority of the time spent at that meeting was trying to figure out what we're doing now under this current ordinance. And much like what's already been said, and I think, Mayor Moffitt, what you said, it's required in the charter that we have this committee, and so we have a committee that's essentially chasing its tail. there are typos in the ordinance, there's 2 subsection Cs, 2 subsection Ds, and it's defining a purpose very, very vaguely without a lot to do with the problem that we're seeking to address. So I think that, again, it's a committee that exists, but is relatively moot because it's not well-defined what we're supposed to be doing. So like what Annie was saying, I think that a workshop where there's actual discussion, where there's, I understand the position that the initial ordinance was maybe creating problems because it was too much, but it feels like we've gone the opposite way. Like now we've stripped it of pretty much anything it could possibly do. So that's frustrating, I think, for those of us who joined and really wanted to feel like we were giving back to the community. And now we've spent 2 meetings in over a year saying, okay, well, what are we really doing here?
And I just wanted to add, I believe your background is, you're an attorney, is that correct?
I am an attorney.
Okay, no, I just wanted to level set that, I mean, as far as, because we're always like, oh, what does the law say? But some of your opinions are rooted in your understanding of the law, correct?
Well, I mean, as an attorney, yes.
Yeah, because you can't escape it because you're an
I do
attorney.
criminal law, but yes.
Okay, right. All right. And I'll ask you the same question because Ms. Benton kind of addressed it. Like, is there anything in particular that you love or would like to see stripped out of the ordinance?
I don't see that the ordinance does a good job of laying out what the expectation is and how it should be carried out.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, let's open it for council, and we'll start as we usually do with Councilmember Tindlin.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. First, just, I had a lot of questions, but I'm not going to take it all day. I really would support a facilitated workshop around this ordinance, because the same way I kind of, fortunately, was never in front of the Ethics Board, but I didn't like the process where pretty much a form was filled out, and then it went to the commission to try to figure out. And unfortunately, I believe sometimes it was politicized, it was used in not the best intent that they originally developed it on. And then I just have I would like to see more meeting out of what I call the granularity of the ordinance. And also it's that baseline process. What's the mechanism that when it is in scope, it gets the commission or the ethics board to function on it. And also, yeah, I agree too that you guys went through a lot of decisions, vote and stuff, and when you found there was a issue, I don't think anything happened, right? There's no teeth to this ethics board. So if we're going to do it right, we should do it right. So that's my comments on this. Short notes, because I have a lot. I'd love to have input at the workshop.
All right. Councilmember Speicher.
Yeah, I would agree. I think a workshop open to the public would be great. It gets us to have a true discussion on what needs to come from this ordinance. So I would be in support of that.
Councilmember Zawinski.
Yep. I've had a couple of questions with some of the members, and I really believe to have a workshop, so I'm in support of that, so that we can get to the gist of what it's about and make sure that it's organized in a way where when we come out of it, you guys know what you're doing. Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Burke.
Yeah, I mean, I have a list of technical questions about it, but I don't really want to ask them right now. I'd like to also do this workshop that we're all talking about, because when I saw this on the agenda, I also was like, I was a little caught off guard as to what the, what we were going to get out of it. So I will save those for then. Thanks, guys, for coming out. But I also support a workshop scheduled at a later date.
Councilmember Peltonen.
Yes, I am glad we're talking about this now, because I know people have been asking about it for a long time now, and I'm glad I'm not the only one who has kind of been wondering what the board can do and what authority they have. Yeah, I agree with everything that everybody said, because the conflict of interest thing was, I thought, well, I feel like we don't have a lot of that, but I bet we have a lot of other ethical issues. It's kind of my main subject in school right now, is all different types of ethics. So yeah, I look forward to having a workshop and open to the public with, if there are other board of ethics that work, that would be awesome to have people that are actually doing it come in and tell us.
Councilmember Duberson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to thank Mr. Quinn, Mr. Murphy, Ms. Fenton, and Ms. Hardy for being on the board and willing to serve. And I also want to say that I'm really excited about the workshop. I am an ethicist of psychology and psychotherapy, so this is really, really cool what you all are doing and what we're putting together here. I've been looking forward to this conversation all day. Like I say, I'm excited for the workshop, and I do hope that you'll consider continuing to issuing advisory opinions. I think that is very important. Thank you.
So just to be a joiner, I would concur with the idea of a workshop, but I also really like the idea of having someone moderate it. Like if we could, I don't know who that would be, but if we could find someone, I don't know.
Nothing is beyond our reach. We'll be able to find somebody.
Yeah, so do we leave it at that and leave it in the hands of the administration to take from there?
Madam Mayor, what we'll do is we'll reach out to everyone. Tuesdays are kind of like already spoken for 50% of the time with council, so if you could look at your future Tuesdays, and we can get something on the books, preferably not the first or third Tuesday of the month, if we did it the second or fourth. That way, we can dedicate all the time that's necessary to it in the workshop. And it will be posted and televised and open to the public.
So that would conflict with the planning commission meeting, right? If we do it on the alternating Tuesdays?
If there is a planning commission meeting, I mean, we could, if things get light, we could maybe.
Generally, the workshops are held in the community room, and so the meetings don't necessarily conflict with each other. We've had multiple meetings go on at the same time City Hall, so I don't think that would be an issue. We just make sure to schedule those, so we get a staff here from live.
And like broadcast the planning and just tape the other one?
Yeah, and there is a way that we can have both live. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, but we've done it before.
Cool, all right, great. All right, pardon? There was a motion to have a discussion, so then we just had a discussion, and so that was that. All right. Moving on to item 9B, which is consideration of a new conditional Class C liquor license for Los Galos Cantina Mexicana, located at 449 West 14 Mile Road.
Madam Mayor, I move that the new conditional Class C liquor license for Los Galos Cuchilla Mexicana LLC located at 449 West 14 Mile Road be approved.
Second.
Nick, this is you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Los Galos Cocina has been operating in the city of Clawson since 2005. They have the state of Michigan conditional Class C liquor license. Per the city of Clawson ordinances, all Class C liquor licenses are required to be filed with the city and presented to the city council. This is the process for all Class C liquor licenses held in the city of Clawson.
So I'll start with my question first, and then I'll ask everyone else. This is, like, they transferred, this isn't a new liquor license, they're conditional when they transferred a license, or are we adding to our pot? I thought they transferred the...
So the law changed several years back. I don't know exactly when, but it's, the pot is basically all of Oakland County. And so they transferred a license from a different community into Clawson. And so the state of Michigan has already accepted that, and so this is just our formal process to approve their liquor license.
Good to know. Councilmember Tinley. Do you have any comments?
Oh, I'm sorry,
questions?
I was sick. Not on this one.
I was asking you to buy me a drink.
You got me. I was thinking about the next one, so, okay. No, I'm fine with that.
All right. Councilmember Spishak.
No questions for me.
Councilmember Swinski.
No, I have no questions. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
All good.
Mayor, Councilmember Peltonen. Councilmember Duberston.
How is their food so delicious and wonderful? That's my only question.
All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Pelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Slawinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Fuchs,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Duberstein,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Yes.
All right, we have just approved the new conditional Class C liquor license for Los Galos Conicha. Is that how you said it? Mexicana. Moving on to item 9C, which is consideration of approving the 2026-2027 lease between the city and the Spanish for Toddlers for rental space at the Hunter Community Center.
Madam Mayor, I move the 2026-2027 lease between the city and Spanish for Toddlers for rental space at the Hunter Community Center as provided herein be approved.
Support.
This one is Mr. Riker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Spanish for Toddlers has been leasing space at the Hunter Community Center since 2005. They are seeking approval of one-year lease agreement to occupy rental space within the Hunter Community Center, as outlined in the attached lease agreement. And Mr. Scott Jennings, the director, is here if there are any questions.
Before I open it for questions, Mr. Jennings, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Yeah, we really like having Spanish for Toddlers in the building. They're great tenants. Their part of the building is the cleanest part of the building because they're cleaning every day around and after the children. And they're great to have around, and I think they, the rent we get from them helps us, be able to function with all the other things that we do.
And having had attended the open house that they had when we were first talking about changes to the parks, I know there was a lot of parents there, and there was also some of the seniors who talked about like seeing the little kids from that program. So it's a nice addition to the senior activities that are going on there as well, right?
Absolutely. And the only extra fun part for me is that when they're in the courtyard, it's kind of a sound funnel into my office, so I can tell when it's recess time.
And it's the joyous laughter of children that you hear. Let's start with Councilmember Duberstein.
I think it's great. I have no questions.
Councilmember Pelton.
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Nothing from me.
Councilmember Slawinski.
No questions.
Councilmember Spiezak.
No questions.
Councilmember Tinlin.
No question. I know it's a great program and very popular.
C.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Slawinski.
C.
Yes.
Councilmember Spiezak.
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin.
Yes.
Mayor Moffett.
Yes.
Councilmember Duberstein.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Yes.
Councilmember Pelton.
C.
Love it. All right, we have just approved the 2026-2027 lease between the city and Spanish for Toddlers for renting space at the Hunter Community Center. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Muchas gracias.
Well done. Well played. Excellent. All right. Our next item on the agenda is 9D, which is consideration of approval for the site condominium at the former Shalom School site, parcel ID 16-20-33-179-073. And this is Nick's turn.
Oh,
after we
Madam
have a
Mayor, I move the final condominium plan for Robertson Brothers and Share Development at the former Shalom School site, parcel ID 16-20-33-179-043, be approved.
Support.
Now it's Nick's turn.
I'm having some technical difficulties with the microphone, so I'm just going to.
Okay.
I just don't want to yell. On March 3rd, 2026, the City Council gave conditional approval of the final condominium plan for the site condominium development at the former Shalom School site. This approval allowed the property owner to proceed with the construction on individual lots while completing the public improvements. The city's engineering consultant, AEW, has reviewed the as-built and found them to be acceptable. The bylaws and master deed have also been reviewed by AEW and the city attorney and have been also found to be acceptable. Per the zoning ordinance, this is the final step of the City Council's review of the development. The city collected a $200,000 cash bond for the conditional approval and will hold $100,000 until all site work is completed and the final approval is issued to ensure the development is completed to the approved plans. This approval by City Council will allow certificates of occupancy to be issued to individual lots if all permits are approved by the relevant inspector. Staff and representatives from Robertson Brothers will be available for questions.
Do we want to start with questions? Councilmember Tinlin.
Yeah, just before we do the final approval, I wanted a confirmation that every public improvement represented in the approved plan is either completed or adequately covered by the remaining bond. Because I know we had this discussion before, they wanted to proceed, and then they were going to catch up with things for seasonal conditions.
Yes, that is correct. Everything that is substantial is completed that isn't landscaping and things like that. And so that does sometimes take time. And so as they're beginning to complete construction on a few of the homes, some people ready to move into Clausen. And so the $100,000 will cover any additional things that we need to potentially fix, or at least hold them responsible for completing that before all is said and done.
Okay, that was my only question.
Councilmember Spishak.
No further questions for me.
Councilmember Swinski.
My only question is, how long until the site work is to be completed? Do we know that?
Well, I think
Estimated?
that's contingent on the development of all 39 homes. I believe Mr. Lockburn might be able to chime in on that as well. I think they're ready to be done as soon as tomorrow if it was possible. But to have an exact timeline, I don't know if we have right now.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Mark.
I guess my only question, so like, I don't think all the sites are sold, correct me if I'm wrong. Are those just gonna stay dirt for like neighbor until it's sold, or are you guys gonna build the houses and then sell them? I'm just curious about that.
I think that'd be more of a question for them.
Okay.
So Mr. Lockburn can come up in a moment.
Councilmember Peltonen.
Yeah, I was kind of just more curious on how many, how many have been sold now since, I think last time it was like 15 or 16? Are we still at?
I believe it's in the mid-20s. Again, I'll defer to him in a moment.
Councilmember Duberston.
Thank you. No questions at this time.
Did we want to have the representative?
Good evening, Tim Lockman, Vice President of Land Acquisition for Robertson Homes. Good to be here tonight. Thank you. Just to answer, I think I can answer all the questions at once. We do have 23 homes sold. And if we could get approval tonight, we'll have our first closings as of Monday of next week. So we're very excited about that. We build them as we sell them. We've been very happy with the pace that we've had so far. I assume we'll continue to be successful with that, but we don't build them. We typically don't build specs, or too many specs, we call them. We really wait till somebody comes in. They can select which type of house they want, what they want to put in the house as far as, it's what the colors, materials, and then things that they want to put, obviously upgrades in the house. So I can't answer that exactly on the timing because of that. But with the success we've had, I would assume that, fingers crossed, we could sell out probably mid next year. And then it would be another 6 months to a year to actually finish out the community. So it would be probably mid-28 is kind of what I think we'd be targeting at this point.
Can people move in where it's still a construction site?
Yes. Yes, with a C of O and barring obviously tonight's approval, but yes, they can move in. And then, I know there's fencing requirements in the city to keep it safe. But yeah, it's very normal to have homes being built when people are living next door.
So my questions are kind of more for the city attorney. And I just want to understand, I remember when we did the condominium thing, it was so they could build houses one at a time, as opposed to having to build the whole thing and then like in one shot, right? That was what the condominium thing sort of was.
The site condominium is what you're speaking?
Yeah.
Well, that's just the way that we build in the modern days, as opposed to platting out, doing the old school plats. It accomplishes precisely what you state, but we do so for different reasoning.
So when I was reading these documents, and I'm not an attorney and I don't play one on TV, but some of it seemed to speak to, like, because it's going to be an HOA, right? So some of the language was sort of beyond the building aspect. It was talking about establishing the HOA. And is that like, does
That's
this?
not for you.
Okay, it was just included because.
Correct.
That makes sense.
It gives you the full picture of everything the Robertson Brothers is doing. You're only focusing on the first portion of it. The bylaws and as-builts are more so that we know that they've done them, and then the as-builts for purposes of the building department.
That makes sense. I was trying to figure out how the condominium and the HOA thing.
I see. Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. All right, that answers my question. I'll just look up and down, see if there's any residual questions. If not, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
Councilmember Tinley?
Yes.
Mayor Moffett?
Yes.
Councilmember Duberstein?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke?
Yes.
Councilmember Peltonen?
Yes.
Councilmember Slawinski?
Yes.
All right, we have just approved the site condominium of the former Sean School parcel ID 16-20-33-179-043. Cool. All right. Moving on to item 9E, which is consideration of approving the land division request to split the property commonly known as 114 Gladwin, parcel ID 16-25-3-152-004.
Madam Mayor, I move that the land division request to split the west 50 feet of Lot 3 of the Charles A. Perry Bellevue subdivision, the property commonly known as 114 Gladwin, parcel ID 16-25-03-152-004, into two parcels be approved as presented.
Support.
And this is Nick's turn, right? Yes, Nick.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. A request has been made by Tim Lochran of Robertson Brothers to split the property commonly known as 114 Gladwin, parcel ID 16-25-03-152-004. The applicant is proposing to split the west 50 feet of the 150-foot wide parent parcel. Joe Tangari from Giffords Webster provided a review of the proposal and found that the request is compliant with our ordinances. The split will result in the parent parcel being 100 feet by 172 feet, and the new parcel being 50 feet by 172 feet. The existing home on the parent parcel will remain the same. The applicant intends to build a new single-family home on the newly created parcel. We recommend the approval of the land division request. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Duberstein.
No questions at this time.
Councilmember Peltonen.
So did we already look at this, or does this happen a lot, like the splitting of?
It depends. I think the market right now for building new homes is there, and so some folks that maybe have a double lot or a separate lot are looking at selling some of that property off, and I think that's been a pretty common theme for this year.
Okay.
I can tell you that I remember it only happening like 3 other times over the course of, like, they put the large lot thing in place. Was it like, that was during my first term, I think.
I think that was in around 2017 to 2018,
right.
roughly.
And so there's only been, that I remember, 3 other ones since then. So it's just
these ones
happened.
are just happen to be. I'm like, does this happen a lot?
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
It meets all of our ordinances for lot requirements, right, you said?
For the split, yes, the size of the lot meets the size of the ordinance. Obviously, once they apply for a building permit for the home, we'll review to make sure that's compliant. But the lot itself, as proposed, does meet
Okay,
our standards.
yeah, I'm good with it. It almost brings those parcels more up to, the character of that neighborhood, so yeah, I'm good with it.
Councilmember Swinsky.
No, I don't have any questions.
Councilmember Spezia.
No questions from me.
Councilmember Dillon.
I got to have a few just from Planning Commission, right, Nick?
Always.
So I read that and I saw 76% of the surrounding lots are within that 50-foot wide. But during that assessment, are there any drainage, utility, driveway, tree, sidewalk, construction impacts that aren't captured by that basic lot dimensional analysis?
Not that we've identified. And so one thing that we require all new single-family homes to build is a storm catch basin in the rear yard to help try to alleviate stormwater buildup back there. And so generally, we've found that that's been really helpful for not only that new lot, but some of the homes next door, just based on the natural grading of where water goes. So things like that will be addressed under the development of the home.
Okay, that's my question. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Seeing no other questions, roll call, please.
Thank you.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Duberstein,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke,
Yes.
Councilmember Peltonen,
Yes.
Councilmember Slawinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Spishak.
Yes.
All right, we have just approved the request to split the property commonly known as 114 Gladwin. Moving on to 9F, which is consideration of designating a delegate and alternate as the city's official voting representative to the Michigan Municipal League MML Annual Convention in Traverse City, Michigan at the Grand Traverse Resort on October 7th through the 9th of 2026.
So before we make a motion,
Why don't we make a motion for a discussion,
Okay.
and then we can do,
yeah, I'll make a motion to discuss who would like to attend.
Support.
and Mr. Riker, you want to
Yes,
tell us
ma'am.
all about it?
The Michigan Municipal League Annual Convention is being held on October 7th through the 9th, 2026 in Traverse City, Michigan at the Grand Traverse Resort, Michigan. As a member of the MML, we are requested to designate a member of our governing body as a delegate and one member as the alternate. The City Council is tasked with making this determination and who will represent the City of Clawson.
All right, to open the discussion, I just wanted to check what days that falls on.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yep, you are correct. Is there anyone who wants to volunteer out of the gate?
I'll volunteer.
Well, I was thinking Laura, I was wondering if she would want to, because it seems like I would like to nominate Laura because I think it would be right up your alley and would give us a very good presentation of what you learned.
I was originally interested in this, but because of things that have happened around my family, I'm not going to be able to do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm comfortable with Councilmember Spishak being our victim, our delegate, who would like to be an alternate. Councilmember Peltonen, I think you'd make a great alternate.
I would love to be the alternate.
So for clarification, both could travel. Both could attend, only one would vote.
Oh.
If you wanted to. Or if you just wanted to be in a delegate status or a alternate status, you could just go if the one person is unable to go.
Nice. Well, then I'm going to make the motion to appoint Councilmember Spishak, just because he spoke first, as delegate, and Councilmember Peltonen as alternate for the Michigan Municipal League Annual Convention at Traverse City, Michigan, at the Grand Traverse Resort, Michigan, on October 7th through the 9th, 2026. Be approved.
Support.
Excellent. Let's have roll call, please.
Are we doing, can I ask though, are we doing it that I would go automatically and just not vote?
I think it's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's your pleasure.
Right. Well, I mean,
What I'm just advising council is that we're prepared to send both of you.
Okay,
It's just that
cool.
the
wanna
delegate
make
would be the voting member unless he is incapacitated or.
Wins the
absent.
lottery and runs away or something. Okay. All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Duberstein,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke,
Yes.
Councilmember Peltonen,
Yes.
Councilmember Slawinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Spishak,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Moffett.
Yes. All right, we have just appointed Councilmember Spishak and Councilmember Peltonen as our folks that will go to the Michigan Municipal League Convention in Traverse City. Thank you both for being willing to participate in that. Appreciate that. Next item on the agenda is consideration of the second reading and adoption of Ordinance 801 to amend the Clawson Code of Ordinance, Chapter 34, Article 10, Section 3.1.m, 3.1.n, 3.1.o, 3.1.p, 2.2, 4.47, and 4.48.
Madam Mayor, I move the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 801 to amend Clawson Code of Ordinances, Chapter 34, Article 10, Section 3.1.m, 3.1.n, 3.1.o, 3.1.p, 2.2, 4.47, and 4.48 be approved.
Support.
Excellent.
All right, I think this is working now. There we go. Thank you, Mayor and Council. The City Council approved the first reading of this ordinance amendment at the July 21st meeting. The proposed amendment remains the same to establish pawn shops and adult businesses as special land uses in the I-1 Limited Industrial District and removes the prohibited uses from the ordinance. This amendment also includes the definitions and development standards for pawn shops and adult sexually oriented businesses. Mr. Tangari covered the rationale for the amendment in his memo in greater depth, and the ordinance provides the definitions and standards. During the last meeting, the council asked why it was for I-1 district properties north of 14 Mile and not south. The rationale for north of 14 Mile of the I-1 district instead of all of it is because there are only 5 buildings zoned I-1 south of 14 Mile and tend to fit more of a business commercial feel than the I-1 district north of 14 Mile. The district north of 14 Mile is larger and has a stronger industrial environment to it, which is why the decision to keep these uses permitted as special land uses was made.
Thank you for answering my question last meeting. Appreciate it. Councilmember Duberstand.
Thank you. I'm just curious, how did pawn shops and adult-oriented businesses get tied together?
So currently, they're both listed as prohibited uses, and so this ordinance amendment was tackling all of the prohibited uses, and so they were just tied in under that premise.
Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Peltonen.
No, I've been following this on planning. It's been quite interesting to watch, so I'm good with it.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Nothing.
Councilmember Slawinski.
No, nothing for me.
Councilmember Spishak.
Nothing further from me.
Councilmember Tinlin.
Nick, I reread it again, so now I have questions. So I get the 5 industrial buildings, that's why it's north of 14 Mile Road. But what safeguards are included beyond just a simple requiring of special land use approval?
Well, I think by nature, the special land use is the protection because every special land use is reviewed independently, and the Planning Commission is not obligated to approve it, so they need to meet the criteria in the ordinance for the development standards. So, example that we've had is the automotive uses in the I-1 district. We've had 2 approved in the last 3 years, and we've recently had another one that ultimately was not approved, and so it's kind of at the discretion and the applicant's the way that they present that to the Planning Commission. And then obviously they need to meet the standards that are put in place in the ordinance.
Yeah, and does the ordinance handle that type of usage like setbacks, hours, signage, parking, security, operational standards? So that's already in our requirements?
Yes.
Okay. Those are my 2 questions then. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke,
Yes.
Councilmember Pelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Slawinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Spishak,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Duberstein.
Yes.
All right, we have just approved the second reading and adoption of Ordinance 801 to amend all those ordinances so listed. Moving on to item 9H, which is public discussion on public notifications regarding the repairs for private sewer taps.
Madam Mayor, I move to open discussion on the notifications regarding the repairs of private sewer taps.
Second.
Mr. Riker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This topic arose after the infrastructure presentation given by Ryan McDonald, Assistant Superintendent of the DPW, and a discussion at the July 21st City Council meeting. The city administration is providing additional findings and a revised public notice to help guide property owners affected by the CCTV footage results. As shared previously, there are 103 taps that have been identified as defective. 83 of those 103 are noted to have either mineral deposits, roots, or a combination of both. This, at minimum, will require the cleaning and inspection of private lines with the potential for additional remediation. The other 20 taps have been identified with some level of structural damage that will require an inspection by a plumber and then replacement of the private sewer. The city evaluated the history of the plumbing permits pulled for similar work since January of '25. There have been 67 properties that have conducted these repairs on their own accord. Our stance is that the property owners are responsible for related work to their private sewer. We do not want to disenfranchise property owners who elected to take preventative maintenance, and I will elaborate, or emergent action on their own, By notifying these property owners of the issues we identified, the intention is to encourage them to clean and/or repair their sewer before the condition worsens, which is why we have specific timeline to make the repairs. The city administration is advising property owners that they have 90 days to respond to the DPW with their plan of action to address their needed repairs, and then 12 months to complete the repairs. Once they receive the notice, included in the packet is additional information that will be sent to property owners. This includes a step-by-step guide on what to do upon receipt of the notice and several frequently asked questions, which includes options for financial support. Each notice will also include a breakdown and photos of the footage of our CCTV captured. So I think one of, if I may, Mayor, when I wasn't here, I asked staff, I was like, how did this become such a bigger issue? And how did we not catch like that this would be such a volatile issue? And the answer is because we deal with it on a regular basis. The 67 residents in the last year, that's almost, the last year and a half, it's almost one a week, maybe a little less than one a week. In fact, I think DPW is going to inspect one tomorrow. So we didn't have the forethought to think that this was going to be as big of an issue as it turned out to be to some members. I also think there's a little bit of a understanding curve, and I'll leave it to the city attorney to establish the legal precedent for the responsibility of the owners. But if you look at it and think about it this way, the 67 people, I'm pretty positive that the majority of them, it probably was emergent because they had some type of issue. They may have been proactive. I hope maybe they were. I hope they were. But at the end of the day, we've helped out these 83 people, 83, by letting them know in advance instead of having a surprise. And so they're put on notice. I spoke with the city attorney as far as a time frame is concerned, and that's to get the dialogue going, to get them aware of their responsibilities, the opportunities they have to address this issue. And if someone doesn't, right now, it's basically public notice, and if they go to sell their property and they don't disclose this, that's going to be some type of legal issue for that property transfer. So it will behoove people to address this issue sooner rather than later. And other than that, that's kind of, I think it would be hard for us to, I would like to be sympathetic as well, but, and people say, hey, big city, little city, big heart. It's like I have an objective heart for everybody. And are we going to then turn around and reimburse people for fees or not have a fee going in the future? And having a time frame on there, I think, has a certain level of significance, is that they have been put on notice, and we have shown our earnest attempt to work with them. And if they decide not to, and it becomes an issue where their neglectfulness or deliberate not addressing this issue in some fashion, I think it gives the city a greater standing should there be some greater damage done by the lack of addressing this issue. So I'll defer to the city attorney if any of those points need additional amplification.
And I do want the city attorney to opine on the question that was asked by the resident on what the legal authority is, because we need clarity on that. But I just, to address one of your comments, I think the big difference is people know that there's stuff that needs to happen to their houses, and they feel like it's not their choice whether or not they want to gamble, if it's going to break down or not. They're being told by the city, and I think that is part of the consternation. You know, well, Nick knows I have a crappy house, right? I'm just kidding. It's our joke. It's our inside joke. But I needed new windows for 20 years. And once I finally got the new windows, yes, my heating bill went down, my air conditioning bill went down. It was a big improvement, but it was my choice to wait to make that improvement versus spending the money in other places. And I think the biggest issues, just to answer your question, why are people so upset about it, is because these homeowners, you know, are deciding how to spend their money, and now the city is telling them how they need to spend their money as opposed to taking a gamble. Yes, if it's an emergent issue, they're going to have to figure it out. But they can wait and see if it becomes emergent or not, and that choice is being proposed to be taken away from them, and I think that's one of the biggest concerns that people have expressed. Mr. Riker, no, you're Mr. Newshy. Can you address the particular question that was asked during public comment about, tell us exactly where the city has the authority to say you have to fix this?
So we have Chapter 11 Sewers and Drains of the Charter, Madam Mayor. And I'll just read, portions of it that, deliver, I think, the answer to your question. The 1101 states, for sentences, the city council may establish, conduct, and maintain a sewage system, sewage disposal system, sewers and drains whenever and wherever necessary. Section 1102 says, in the first sentence, the owners or occupants of lots and premises may connect the same at their own expense by means of private drains with the city sewers and drains as permitted by law and ordinance. So that, Madam Mayor, is if you think about that lot that the council just allowed to be split, and a new home being constructed there, right? They will practically be seeking a permit from the city to build, seeking a permit to connect to the sewer, right? Their own contractor, whomever is building the house, the owner's contractor, will seek, will find, will get the permit authorized. They will do whatever dig, buy the pipe, purchase the pipe, go all the way to the city's sewer, dig all the way over there, have a permit from the city to actually tap in with the city's building officials or whomever from the city, observing while they tap into the city's sewer, right, all at their expense. That is why it's all our individual responsibilities. And this is not something that we are simply doing different or unusual in Clawson. This is the norm everywhere.
So that answers the question why the resident is responsible for the tap. But I think the bigger question is, what authority does the city have to mandate that?
I'm sorry, 1103, Madam Mayor. Whenever the city council shall deem it necessary for the public health, it may require the owners or occupants of lots and premises to construct private drains therefrom to connect with the same public sewer drain, and thereby to drain such lots and premises and keep such private drains in repair and free from obstructions and nuisances. And if such private drains are not constructed and maintained according to such requirement, the city council may cause the work to be done at the expense of such owner or occupant, and the amount of such expense shall be a lien upon the premises drained and may be collected by special assessment to be levied thereon.
So this specifically says the city council may cause the work to be done at the expense, and the operative word, it says may cause the work to be done at the expense of such owner or the occupant, and the amount of cash shall be. So that just says, so that purely puts it, the onus on the city council to decide.
Yeah, if you're doing the kind of work that you put in a lien on the property, right, where there's an emergency and you're putting the lien on the property. As far as the maintenance of the sewers, that's an ongoing maintenance. That's an administrative function.
So it does say maintain though here. So let's read it one more time if we can. Whereas the city council shall deem it necessary for the public health, it may require the owner and occupants of the lot and premises to construct private drains, therefore to connect to some public sewer or drain, and thereby to drain such lots and premises, and to keep such private drains in repair and free from obstructions and nuisances. And as such private drains are not constructed, and maintained according to such requirements, the city council may cause the work to be done at the expense of such owner or occupant, and the amount of such expense shall be a lien upon the premise drained, and be collected by special assessment and to be levied thereon. So that only talks about, all right, so that's.
Madam Mayor?
Yeah.
If I can jump in here.
Sure.
So the notice as written, as you see, goes out hopefully we get 20 people who are proactive or at least responsive. If it were to get to a position where like, hey, no one's being responsive, their lack of action is becoming a detriment to our public infrastructure, it would come back to you, it would come back to council before we would take any action to say, hey, that we need to implore these people, do a special assessment on them. It would come back to them. I would like to think that if people know they are notified and they are sitting on a legitimate, like, sewage time bomb, I hope that they will be proactive.
I don't think it's a
they would
choice.
like to be.
I don't think it's a choice of some people, and that's the issue. I mean, some people may have to just say, I have to play the lottery here, or I don't get my medicine, or I'm going to lose my home, or I don't get, and that's the issue, is that what you're proposing, that you have to respond in 90 days and you have to repair it in a year, doesn't allow the residents the freedom to have agency over their own finances and take a chance on whether or not they want to have the emergency. And I think that is the issue. I mean, I personally, and I'm sorry, I'm hogging the microphone here, but I like the idea of us notifying everyone, saying, hey, you have a problem, you should get it done. Here's all the information, let's work with some plumbers, but it's the mandating that you have to submit a plan and you have to do it within 1 year that takes agency away from our residents to make decisions about how they're living their lives and how they're spending their money and what they're going to do. You're absolutely right. If they decided that they were going to pack up and sell and they had this letter on the books, they would have to disclose that, just like they'd have to disclose if a murder was in the house, right? I mean, there's a ghost, right? I mean, it's just part the things I worry about. But those are things you have to disclose when you're selling your house, right? But they will still have agency over whether or not they're spending the money and taking the chance of that being a problem they have to address emergently or not.
The only reason for wanting to keep that in there was so that they are on notice and that we continue the engagement to hopefully remediate this, because if it does become a legal issue, unless I have no problem removing those two requirements, if the city attorney is like, yeah, we should do that. If he thinks that we shouldn't, then I obviously will agree with him.
The notice requirement is a necessity, Madam Mayor, for our purposes, okay? And think about, and because I think your agency argument is actually valid. None of us, I think, have any quarrel with it, but think about all the other aspects of the city's administration that we apply when it comes to home ownership. If your roof is having an issue and is starting to collapse, you have no agency. Our code enforcement guy comes in and issues you a ticket to fix it.
But the difference is, if it's collapsing, it's affecting me and it's affecting the quality of my life.
Yes.
If my tap isn't causing me any problems, but the city says it needs to be fixed, it's not affecting my life.
The city is issuing you a notice. There's a notice.
I have no objections to giving notice. I don't think any of us have any objections to getting notice. Where the consternation was created is the 90 days. Sorry. The 90 days and the 1 year is, I think, what people had issues with. But I'll be quiet for a minute and let's go ahead and
Me? All right, so I'm going to, went back and actually looked at our conversation we had last. So one, for me, it's just not a notification issue, it's really, residents' assistance. And for a question for the city administration that, 83 are cleaning cases, right? So for me, that's a less sense of urgency versus the 20 structural, right? So same way, my opinion is a notification and aware that they have a cleaning issue. It's their choice if they don't want to address it, because at the end of the day, if that line backs up, your sewer stops working. So not putting a time frame around that. Now, the 80 structural cases might have a higher risk to the city, so those might be handled differently. But definitely of the 83, they just get it saying a proactive, which is the first time we've ever even looked at our sewers with a camera, you might have an issue with your sewer line, and you should probably address it. But give them a time limit, because at the end of the choice of the homeowners, and if their sewer system fails, that's that overnight dig out of your lines and everything else. And then maybe the 20 structural cases we'll have to have a different discussion about. So that's my thoughts on that. So Joel, feel free. I'm just, I'm again looking at risk. You have low risk and high risk to the city.
And 100% agree, and they are two different levels of measured response. But to the city attorney, do you feel that we have to keep the time requirement, hey, 90 days, please contact us, within 1 year, a plan to fix it?
Yeah, I think when I look at it, I'm looking at it from and forgive me if I'm misunderstanding it, but when I look at it, I'm only looking at a timeline that says, go ahead and contact us and basically to begin to trigger a conversation with the municipality. I think that's perfectly appropriate. Now, do we have to have it? Well, no, the municipality can decide what it pleases. I don't, I would recommend against it. I think having a timeline that says to the citizen, come over, because we will have some options, obviously, for them, whether it be here's some contact information with respect to plumbers, here's some contact information with respect to financing. If you deem it important enough, you have to do it for purposes of your well-being and your home's well-being, but you don't have the means to be able to do it. I think these are conversations that are not going to happen unless you have some sort of, that notification provision that is built in above and beyond you have an issue. We obviously haven't had the concern up until now, right? This is, I imagine, again, strong feelings as they may be on account of that it comes from as lightning in clear blue sky, but this is on account of the fact that the municipality, the administration has taken certain proactive steps to try to figure out what's happening with the sewer.
What I hear you just having had said is that the notification is definitely an obligation that we need to fulfill,
by all
which I
means.
agree. But having a timeline mandated is not part of that required notification process.
Oh, yeah, I think, that is, best practice for purposes of a municipality.
Best practices, but not required.
Well, go ahead, Mr. Ray.
Line in the stand.
Maybe the happy medium is removing the requirement of 1 year to fix it.
Yeah.
But we still need to have some kind of communication as to what's going on. And will that, just if things go sideways and the negligence of that contributes to the delinquency of our system somewhere, we have some standing that, hey, you've been placed on notice.
Sure. Absolutely.
So I have no problem just leaving it with a 90-day notification to DPW, and we'll remove the 1 year requirement, and we can move on.
Point of order.
Please.
I would defer. I think the city manager's suggestion is perfectly appropriate, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Spishak.
I had a couple of things, because, I had this happen to me when I first moved into Clawson, and it was super fun to deal with. Happened right before Christmas in 2023, and it is.
So I didn't get a present.
It was a very expensive present. So I had a couple of questions on when it comes to like an appeal process. So say there is something that is, there is an issue that might stem from whether it's city or from ownership of the home. Is there a reason why we don't have an appeal process that would be in place to have a conversation with the owner to, understand where they're coming from what their issue might be with it?
Appeals on what grounds? To who?
So, like, to the city, we put out a notice and, a resident has an appeal to saying, hey, I had somebody out and said there's no issue. Again, it's all out there. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but would there be something in place if somebody had, like...
If you remove the 1 year requirement, doesn't that kind of address that?
I would imagine so,
Yeah.
Madam Mayor. I think it would address Mr. Spishak because ultimately you're removing an obligation to actually have an affirmative act on behalf of the homeowner. The homeowner would be entirely within their purview not to take action.
Okay. The other question I had was if there, obviously we have a lot of infrastructure things that are going on in the city. Are there opportunities, if a street is being dug up to replace a water main and somebody on that block has an issue with it, can that be something that's tied into it? Not cost sharing, but it would be the opportune time.
Something like that, I'll run it past the city attorney if it was possible. It'd
Are
have to
you
be
saying like if the
what the
concrete's being real
circumstances-
police, we wouldn't have to dig it up? It's like it would be.
Yeah, so it would be, like, say there's an issue over on, like, your side of town, Dreon's being dug up right now, and somebody is on Dreon that has an issue.
Yeah, those
That would
actually-
be an
yeah,
opportune
full
time to
transparency,
do that.
That's happening.
That happens
because we
routinely,
can't-
yeah,
We
absolutely.
can't fix the problem without addressing those issues.
Okay.
That happened routinely, and I think when you get to the right of way, because I think this may answer your generalized concern, when it gets to the right of way, the city's doing work in the right of way, those are routinely handled, as far as my understanding is concerned, which makes sense.
That's all I have right now.
Councilmember Selinsky.
I think you guys have covered a lot of my questions. There was a gentleman here earlier who said he was a plumber. My question is, can he be added to this list if he so wishes?
If he wants to make himself known, I don't know what his credentials are. I am not, and we should not get into the habit of putting by name any services. It's just was a general idea, and it's up to the individual residents to do their due diligence. Recommendation would be to get multiple quotes, and not just settle on whatever one individual says.
Okay, yeah, because I like this list that you guys put together. There's a lot out there. I also, I was wondering if the resident doesn't do anything and then something happens to the city, that's what we were talking about,
Yes, ma'am.
then are they going to be liable for getting a notice and not doing anything and have something happen?
I mean, and that's a future action, obviously,
I
but
think that'd be something that if they were unwilling or unable, it would come back to council where you are doing a special assessment specifically against them in that instance. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
pursuant to that 1104 that you have here that the city manager is referencing.
Okay, I understand that now. Okay, thank you. No more questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Holbrook.
Yeah, so the 83 versus 20 kind of changes things big time, at least in my mind. Because, like, okay, you have those 20. If a disconnection is dumping raw sewage or letting in earth into our city sewer lines, that's a problem. You can cause sinkholes. You see it on TV all the time. Huge sink. I mean, just takes out a street. That's a problem because then it falls on the Clausen taxpayer, and that's unacceptable. But for the 83, why are we notifying people of roots and mineral deposits in their private line? That seems like
It's
our
there.
business.
It was found, and initially, like, we gave you a large number. That was the raw data that we have, and then when we looked at it closer, that was the granularity. The breakout was like, hey, these aren't catastrophic. These are roots, minerals, or a combination of.
Yeah, because like for that would just be just a nice notify. Like, hey, heads up, might want to think about like. I
Absolutely.
would not think we need to be mandating descaling and jetting of private sewer lines.
No.
That's just me.
No.
The 20, that's a different story. That has to be fixed. But the 83, like that's on.
We're not going to make the mandate for that. We'll make
Yeah.
them, but for the 20, it'll be for.
Correct.
You need to contact us.
Correct, okay.
That is.
Then we're in agreement
Yes,
on that.
absolutely.
Okay. So that's good. Did you have your hand? Sorry.
Yeah, just
Go
to
ahead.
kind of add on to that, so the folks, the 80 that'll get the notice for the roots and mineral deposit, our CCTV footage found that from the public sewer main, that it was about 55% blocked. And so generally, the camera can only see several feet from the public into the private line. And so generally speaking, if there's that much blockage there, there could be a worse problem in the line. And that's why the recommendation in the notice is to contact a plumber to camera it, because camera it and see what the condition is. Because it might just be at the tap, and that could just be a hydrojet or to cut that out, or there could be a collapse further down the line. So it's just to notify them that there's a significant blockage in their tap right there.
Right, and that's so different than mandating them to, do a few grand jetting or descaling situation. So, okay, we're on the same page there. Yeah, that was my main thing. That was it.
Councilmember Peltonen.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think we all had a lot of the same questions because really I was thinking what happens if they don't do it within that amount of time, but we're taking that off And we're taking the time limit off for both sets of the 83
The
and the
1 year's
20?
coming off.
Okay.
There's no time limit for the jetting, descaling, but for the 20,
They have to contact
us
and
in
make a
90 days.
plan.
Yes.
But, okay, because I was thinking of it a lot like when I get my oil changed and I say, like, okay, I have money, let's see what we need to get done. And then there are lots of times where it's like, oh yeah, that belt is still on my list. Like, okay, one day I'll get it. And so I think I agree with everybody that it's nice to know. I think it's a really good, give me a heads up that I have this problem. But as long as I think it's very obvious why people were scared because of so if we take that away, I think that will ease a lot of people's fears and concerns.
Councilmember Duberstein.
Everybody's asked my questions, and I concur with a lot of what Councilmember Tinlin had said.
I'm going to turn it over to you in a minute, but are we done then? We're going to issue the letters, we're going to remove the.
Yeah, we'll take care of it. All those issues those two significant issues will be addressed. And what we can do is, at a later date, I can give you an update on how the 20 have responded. I mean, maybe they'll all come back and be like, yeah, we're getting on this and there's no issue. Or some people may say, hey, I've got a very large, significant issue. We'll see. But we'll come back at a later date with an update on those. When, I'm not sure yet.
And I just want to make it public, because it is in the notice, but just to share at the public meeting, that within the additional notice that folks will be getting, we heard that there, obviously was some concern about the financial impact that would take on homeowners. And so the city administration has been in touch with the financial institutions in the city of Clawson. Obviously, we don't have many. We can't exactly say who. And it sounds like they may be able to offer some specific programs to Clawson residents. And so if you do get a notice, we'd recommend touching base with them. And then, Mayor, I know for all the time working with the CDBG program, you've kind of asked, what is the true intent here? We get a small fraction of that. But one thing the Community Development Block Grant program offers is the Home Improvement Loan Program, which folks can apply for to get their entire sewer tap replaced via a no interest loan that they can pay back over time that is due in full at the time of them selling the house. And so we just want to provide some resources to people that may have to take this on. And so, again, the financial institutions in Clawson, I would recommend contacting one of them. And then definitely touch base with the Oakland County Home Improvement Program to see if you could qualify for a no-interest loan.
Excellent. Well, I think it was a good compromise and a valuable discussion for everyone. So thank you, everyone, for participating in that. I think it was good. And with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, with that, there's discussion. We'll move on. We struck item I there, so we'll be going on to agenda item number 10, unfinished business. Seeing we have none, we'll be moving on to item number 11, public comments for items not on the agenda. If you have public comment for items not on the agenda, please come to the podium, state your name, whether you're a resident of Clawson or not, and you have 4 minutes.
Not on the agenda. Not on the agenda.
Sorry, items not on the agenda, not.
Jamie Gills, Takanouchi, Clawson resident. First, I ask that you put the city manager's evaluation back on the agenda for the next meeting. He responds to you as a body. He has actually said in the past he only has to do what you as a body decide. It should be a body giving him an evaluation. Now what I came for. When I read the city manager's message in the most recent Pulse newsletter, one sentence stood out to me. Facebook participation really doesn't count. We know Facebook is not where the city conducts its official business, but often we get more information from each other than we do from emails or questions during public comment, because sometimes the answers you give us are complete and sometimes you don't answer us at all. We are communicating with each other, and whether you like it or not, that's democracy in action. We share information, ask questions, try to understand the city's reasoning. We care about our neighbors, we share experiences, organize, and figure out what questions to ask. Sometimes those conversations might seem negative to you. We might be angry or critical of the city. We're allowed. But we're also asking questions, and we're coming up with solutions. Let's use sewer taps. Resident gets a letter saying they're required to do a $20,000 plus repair on their home. They think they're alone, and they assume what the city says is the final word. We come together. Collectively, we see possibilities that weren't considered before. That's what an informed, engaged community looks like, and you should see it as an asset, not a problem. The city manager seems to be treating the conversation as the problem. I see it as part of the solution. Even with complete transparency, residents would still reach out to each other, question what we're told, research it, and consider other options. When we raise an alternative, tell us if you've considered it and why it won't work. Or say, we hear you, let's explore that. When emails and questions during public comment go unanswered, and when council members ask the administration questions directly from the dais on behalf of us, and they don't get answers either, we feel dismissed. Sometimes the information we see from the city gives us part of the picture, but it doesn't answer all our questions. So we talk to outside experts for an independent perspective. And there's nothing unreasonable about seeking information from people without a stake in defending the city's position. We're not experts, but we're intelligent, we're engaged, and we're learning. You don't always need to agree with us, but we need you to engage with us honestly and transparently. When we ask a question, answer it. When we raise an alternative, tell us if you've considered it and why it won't work. We're asking to understand. If you want civic participation, you have to do your part as well. Our participation doesn't begin when we walk through the doors for council meetings. We've been participating long before that. And we don't need your approval for our participation to count. Community is part of democracy. Facebook is a tool. We're saying you don't get to decide that the conversations we have don't matter simply because they're happening somewhere besides here. Those conversations matter. We matter. When we're not heard, when you ignore our questions, trust doesn't get stronger. It gets weaker. What we're doing is civic participation, and it counts. And so the one question, you were all concerned what our sewer mains might do to your main. Nobody has answered, what has your main, unmaintained for decades, done to the sewer taps?
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else for public comment, items not on the agenda? Going once, going twice, seeing none more. I will close public comment. Next item is city clerk's report. Vince, you got anything?
Thank you, Pro Tem. Just some results from the primary. We had 39% voter turnout, which was up more than what we expected. So next elections, Tuesday, November 3rd. Absentee ballots will be available and mailed out around September 24th. We recommend that students away at college and or residents who will be away for the fall and winter months come to the clerk's office to advise of their alternate address, or they can go to the Michigan Voter Information Center and online ask for a ballot to be mailed to an alternate address. The alternate address is needed so we can ensure timely delivery by the post office. That's it.
Thank you. Council, any questions? I was going to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. This morning I called for a couple corrections. Just wanted to see if you received them and.
Yes, ma'am. The spelling I can correct. As far as the residents, they don't spell their name. I just put it down as it is. So I can't, look up who it is. I'll put down as close as I can to the spelling of their name.
Oh, no, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure you received the
Yep,
message.
it was
That's all.
it's already been corrected.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions, Council? Seeing none. City Attorney's report.
Just very briefly, because obviously it's been a long meeting, the Oakland County prosecutor held a joint meeting with chiefs of police and local prosecutors regarding human trafficking issues in the county. It was held at the Oakland County Community College campus. To my shame, I was not as aware as I ought to have been on the issue. I imagine I'm not alone in that regard. I think I'm going to share some information in the coming week with council for your awareness and benefit, as well as with, and I've had the conversations already with the city manager and the assistant city manager, with some of the things that we need to do in order to be proactive. It's an issue that, per the Oakland County prosecutor, we are not going to, in our county, prosecute our way out of it. Therefore, it requires all hands on deck. And so the information that you receive will further elucidate this point. Absent any questions, that's my report.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have one.
Go ahead.
So this is about when we make, I'm really concerning the Renshaw apartment. You said it was in the motion that we had to say something about where the proceeds are going, so that's why we had to have it in the ballot language. But I was wondering where we find the motions, because isn't it from the minute? Like, I'm not trying to change that, to change the wording of the ballot. I'm just trying to understand the motion that we made doesn't, it's much smaller. It just says consideration of placing the sale of Renshaw Senior Apartments located on November
I'm sorry,
ballot.
help me out. Where are you looking?
So I'm looking at the minutes. I was just wondering, if we make a motion and it gets approved, where's the wording come from? Does it come from the meeting or the minutes?
Oh, no, I don't imagine it would be the meeting's minutes. It will be, if you recall, the initial motion, I read it to you, in verbatim. Council then received it, we placed it on the next agenda. It was part of your agenda packet. Council made, we had a conversation, we made a slight change. That change was emailed over to, right after the end of the meeting, it was emailed over to every member of council as by the city clerk, which had the complete motion as it
So is
stood.
that somewhere for the public to find?
Oh, I'm not the proper person to ask, but
I'm just curious, because
I
trying to learn it,
imagine-
because people say, well, what does the motion say? And I looked at, and I said, well, if you go
Well,
back to
the motion that you're referencing, whether to place it for sale or not, there would be, obviously, the minutes are just capturing to the best of their ability, just simplistically, the motion, whereas the actual record of it is the video record of the meeting. The motion.
The video is more accurate than the minutes?
Isn't it, I'm sorry to jump in here, but isn't it a combination of the information that was in the packet for that meeting, because it included the motion, so it's the combination of the information that we received prior to that meeting, and then the minutes are just memorializing what was decided, right? It's the combination of the two.
I think you're correct.
So they could find all that information.
Of course.
In the packet, but didn't we?
Are you asking, sorry, I think what she's asking is what rules over what? So is the minutes that we vote on to say, yes, we accept these minutes, is that better than going to the video?
Right, because that was my question, is I thought we should have not.
Which one do people look at, and which one is more accurate?
I think the minutes are memorializing precisely what transpired in the meeting itself. So if you wanted a record of what action council took, you would look at those minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's where you would find the wording of the action.
But the
Can we ask?
minutes are not verbatim, though.
Vince?
Can I pipe in? I think the June meeting was when council voted to put it on the ballot, and there was a resolution for that. Discussion was the last meeting about the language that we wanted revised, and that's what that motion was, to take the but not limited to out before it was sent up to the county. So the original motion was back in June. That was part of the packet, and it's online
Okay, so it'll be in the minutes from June.
in the council packet.
Okay. I got a lot more learning to do about the minutes than I guess. I thought the minutes were saying everything that we agree that that's what happened. And then, so I was thinking if we said, oh, but shouldn't the motion say with the proceeds going to senior, so that's nowhere, that's just, you'd have to find
So
it in the packet.
the council packet precedes the minutes. So the minutes will reflect what happened at that meeting after you're presented with the
Right.
information.
So I had somebody ask me where they can find that, and I said, oh, you can watch the video.
Everything's
And it
online,
was-
though. It's
And
there's-
it was just that can't be the only way that you have to watch the video. So,
No, yeah, the minutes will have it, obviously reflect the actual action that was taken, but the council packet would have the actual motion, right? The specific motion as outlined. But the minutes are just,
okay,
they're not a
I'll go back and
verbatim.
look at
yeah.
the motion
Yeah.
that we said, just so I can learn. Thanks.
All right. No more questions. We'll move on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Construction update, Elmwood, the final walkthrough was completed, and the final checklist of items remaining are a small section of concrete to be replaced and minor grass corrections/additions for hydro seeding. Transitioning to Rochester Road, the expected open-to-traffic date is mid-November. However, the city of Royal Oak has shared some reservations regarding the contractor's ability to deliver by that date, but the contractor remains firm and optimistic that they will be able to deliver open to traffic by mid-November. The Chalk Lake, Goodale, and Leroy water main replacement project, the tie-ins to our water main and service work are complete. Restoration work is underway with an anticipated completion date within this month. West Maple water main replacement, all water main work is complete with sidewalk installation and landscape restoration ongoing with a completion date expected late this summer. Drian School Stephan, road construction water main replacement. This project is shaping up to straddle the construction season next spring. This construction season and next spring, we anticipate that the water main replacement to occur this year and maybe some of the road reconstruction. The remainder of the road reconstruction would then occur in the spring of 2027. This is not what we originally wanted, but we don't want to be racing winter like we ended up last year with the Elmwood project. At a point in November, we would stop the concrete work and prepare the project to winter over until spring when it will be completed. South Washington, between 14 Mile and Jefferson, approximately 300 feet, is a road reconstruction in conjunction with the CDBG funding. The pre-construction meeting is being planned for next week. This project is planned to be completed this construction season. Sewer open cut. All locations for this contract one are on the south side of 14 Mile Road. Pre-construction meeting is scheduled for tomorrow. The Four Cities Metro Pipeline is ongoing and exceptionally disruptive, but is anticipated to be completed early fall. This project by Consumers Energy is replacing 8 miles of natural gas pipeline in the cities of Clawson, Royal Oak, Madison, and Warren. For Clawson, this includes Dakota South along Washington Avenue to Lexington Boulevard. Again, the expectation is for the completion to be, and I will amend that, it is to be this fall. We've received a handful of concerns about this project, and for questions or concerns, in addition to emailing staff, please email Four Cities Pipeline at cmsenergy.com or call 248-433-5780, which is associated with the Four Cities Pipeline, where you can leave a voice message. Additionally, staff are working internally to bring a more real-time update on construction projects that will be posted conspicuously on the city's website. Lastly, a reminder that this Saturday, August 22nd, from noon to 8 p.m. is the 6th annual Clawson Fest located on Main Street, south of 14 Mile. Pending any questions, that's my report.
Any questions? Start with Councilmember Tinlin down there.
I got 3, but I'll have less on my councilman comments. Just because I think in history I've never voted against a consent agenda ever, so it might be a question for the clerk and the city manager. Traditional practices, appointments of the boards and commissions were in the normal agenda, not on the consent agenda. And that actually caught me off guard last meeting because I wanted to have a dialogue. So how'd that change from our traditional practice to having it go on the consent agenda?
So that, going back even, I think when we started having issues with appointments, we had started, the former mayor was breaking them out to discuss and bring accolades to people's volunteerism. Before that, they were on the consent agenda and they would be pulled off. So if you recall, there was a Friday feedback where I did explain that barring anyone's feedback, they will go on the consent agenda. And so that's how they ended up. on the consent agenda.
Okay, so I'll watch it very closely from now on. My other question is, I know we were going to talk about the parking overnight ordinance, and that got pushed back because just of the amount. But also another pin I put in our discussion about setting up an ordinance for special events for 2027 on cost sharing, right?
I anticipate that to be shortly after Clausen Fest has been concluded.
And a question for us, as we come to council and set the rules of what we're going to apply in 2027, we'll have that type of granularity of spend on some of these events, so we can talk as a body. All right.
Sir.
All right, that's my only three. I'm done.
Thank you, Councilmember Tinlin. Councilmember Slinsky, did you have your hand up or no?
Oh, well, I was just curious regarding the performance evaluation of the city manager. When will we find out? Like, it was put on the agenda,
Yeah.
and that's not something we decide, right?
No, it was part of my contract, and that was typically how it went. But what has happened in the past, I remember there was a council member that was like, hey, we want to have these evaluations as part of the record, which I have no problem making them part of a record, and they can just be accepted under the consent agenda at a later date once I have all of them. So they're not going to be out of, they won't be out of sight as far as I'm concerned from the public. The conversations will be taken one-on-one, and if people don't want to have the conversations but fill out the form, we'll take it and I'll make it part of a future agenda that can be part of public record.
Okay, so earlier we talked about there's a possibility you might do it open, you're not doing it open?
No,
Because you're,
it was removed to go in the direction of having the one-on-one conversations.
okay, because I think I voted incorrectly on that. Because I was thinking you were saying that could happen, but now you're saying that's not going to be happening?
As far as,
Having a, like, it was on the agenda.
Yes.
To conduct the evaluation.
correct.
And we were going to do that together. And so I voted yes because I thought what I was voting on was that there's a possibility that we're going to be doing it in an open meeting. And so my question is that off the table?
Well, I believe you had, you said you were fine with it either way, which was that, because I said, hey, if you guys decide that we're going to do it here today, and I wasn't going to tip my hat totally, like, but I have historically done it in open session. And then you said you were okay with it.
Yeah, I'm okay either way, right? But I said that because I thought there was a chance maybe you would do it either way. But now I'm hearing you're not planning on doing it in open session,
No, it
but
was,
just the results in open session?
the results can be part of a future agenda, that can be part of a public record.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Any more questions for the city manager?
I do.
Go ahead.
Just to piggyback off of Tinlin, because as soon as you guys voted no on that, I thought that's exactly what I meant to do as well, because I thought I recalled in your Friday feedback that you were talking about reappointments and not wasting our time with reappointments. But these were 3 new appointments.
I think I just made it germane to appointments.
Oh, okay. Well, I would be okay.
have to-
I would be more okay with it if it was reappointments, but I don't like any of it. I had mentioned before, I do like to vote. I want somebody to know that, I would want to know, hey, I got a 7-0 vote to be on that board, or I barely made it on that board. But I think it would be important to know.
So what is your pleasure? Because you have the ability to, I could keep doing this and you can
And then
say,
we
I want
pull
to take
them
it off.
off
You can
every-
pull them off,
okay.
and I don't want to like
I would rather-
create
I
a
think-
bunch of drama.
I would rather have us vote on all of them.
Okay, and that's what I was asking for feedback during the Friday feedback. Like, let me know if you guys have an issue with that, because if you do, I'll just keep doing it the other way. If I don't hear from anybody, I'm just going to put it on, and that's what happened.
If I could just springboard off of something you just said, I think there's confusion about the consent agenda. Like the consent agenda, there's no discussion on it, but if you if you want to pull something out so it can be discussed, you would just amend the consent agenda to pull out whatever item it is and add it to later in the agenda. Because I saw you looking at me like, oh, can I
It only
talk?
takes one person. You
That's
don't
right.
have to have a second discussion. If you don't consent to something, you can say, I want to remove. In the future, I will have them like we had in the past. I'll just list them on the agenda.
But if there was even just a question about the minutes, or I should shut up, but anything that's on there, anytime you want to pull something out of the consent agenda, you can make that motion to put it later on the.
You're saying before approval of the regular agenda.
Right, because there's
doesn't
no
have to be
discussion
that
or
other
anything,
time.
but if there's something you want to discuss, like sometimes in the past, there's been questions like about something that was paid or something like that, then you pull it out and you put it later in the meeting and then just approve what's left on the consent agenda as a whole and then talk about that particular item later.
We're getting there.
Okay, we're getting there, yes, thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, because I still on that topic. I understand what you're trying to do. Speed things up. I'm all for making things efficient, but we rifle through appointments if they're not controversial. And if a controversial one is there, it's probably we should be talking about it.
But you guys do receive the applications immediately when we receive them from the clerk's office. So you have them well in advance of even the Thursday dispersion of the packet. So like when they come in, and we forward them all to you.
Yeah, no. I guess what do you mean? What point are you making?
So if someone applies for, like, someone puts in an application to be on, like, it will get it, he'll receive it, and the city city clerk will send it to you, like, not in near real time, but pretty promptly, so that you're aware that someone has, this application's out there.
Yeah.
The mayor will then coordinate with the clerk's office, like, hey, these are the people that I want to pick and put in there. And so you've seen it beforehand when people applied, and then you've seen it in the Thursday packet for the Tuesday meeting.
Right, and I just want to vote on it.
And there's times
That's where I'll put it.
when someone's reached out and said, hey, I particularly like so-and-so, so be sure and think about them. I mean, that's part of them being sent out right away to go ahead or have your conversation with them or express an opinion.
Okay. Any more questions for the city manager? If not, we'll move on to item 15, city council comment. We'll start with Councilmember Duberstein.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I've got a few things. First, I just want to congratulate Vince and Todd and their team on a great job with the elections. And I also want to recognize Officer Barnett and the hard work she's doing for the Special Olympics and raising some funds. And I want to just give also a shout out to Kristen Urbanik for the excellent work she did with the movie night. I also want to say a couple things. In terms of the reducing the comment time, I really appreciate the chance to live in a community that's so open to giving feedback and is willing to share with me their thoughts, and that was really a big part of it. And then, Mom, if you're watching, your thoughts definitely counted. I listened to you this one time. Sorry about the times I didn't when I was a teenager. Maybe not so sorry. You didn't hear that, Mom. Anyway, I did want to say that. The other thing I wanted to say is about our city manager's evaluation and why I made the motion that I did. Frankly, I don't care whether it is, well, a couple things. One reason is I have sat and been evaluated before by committees, and it's always a little bit intimidating and hard to follow. I think the one-on-one conversations are really, really important for learning and growth. And then, of course, residents and others can share their feedback with us. And we'll take that into consideration, and we can also share what we have said. So I really think that if we're going to help people to grow, we have to do it in a way that is evidence-based. And also, I'll just say it, I don't care who it is, whether it's Daffy Duck or Mickey Mouse. I believe in treating people, well, they're cartoon characters, but I believe in treating people with dignity. And I also believe that having that process take place in a setting where it's one-on-one and it just tends to be more respectful and more dignified. So thank you very much. That's all I have to say tonight.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Peltonen.
I just wanted to give a shout out to Boodles. They're on TV tonight making their big debut, so that's it.
Thank you. Madam Mayor?
I guess just two comments. One, yay, Clausen Fest, can't wait till Saturday. And two, I would, again, think that it's very important for us to have the city manager's evaluation as a group so that we can understand where everyone stands. I've sat through a lot of not just evaluations, Mr. Riker, but previous city managers, and it's important to understand compliments and concerns that fellow council members express, and we act as a body, and doing it individually, I think, is flies in the face of the fact that we are a body and should operate that way. That's all.
Councilmember Selinsky?
Okay, thank you for the administration for doing continued updates on the website. I see the boards and commissions are updated, and I know that they do a lot of work on that, and I appreciate it because now you can see all of them, and they all look the same, and it's nice. If you haven't received a copy of the Pulse yet, I invite you to get one. You can find them online at the library, at the City Hall, and at the Senior Center. There's a lot of events information and on all of the departments as well. So it's very well put together, and it's a really good source. Thank you to the Parks and Rec for Movie Night at Grant Park. It was a very well-attended event, and I love and appreciate that the city is utilizing that public space. It's by my house, so I know that they haven't been able to do that in prior years, so I love seeing that. Congratulations to Samantha Hanser Maynard on her recent appointment to the Clausen Public School Board. I worked with her on the Charter Commission, and she's going to be amazing at it, and I just wanted to give her a shout out. And in a previous meeting, I had heard somebody say something about our laptops up here on the dais, and I wanted to just let them know that the reason we have them is because if we would have printed out the packets tonight for every one of us, tonight's packet was actually 258 pages long, and this is just for one meeting. So not that we really owe anybody an explanation, but I just wanted to say we're trying to be green, and it's important that, we're organized up here and we're trying to run our meeting efficiently. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Councilmember Selinsky. Councilmember Spishak.
Clausen Fest. It's going to be exciting on Saturday. Make sure to stop by. We also have our resource fair that we have scheduled for the 27th of August, next week. It's a Thursday from 4 to 8 in the community room. It'll be a great chance to meet with local trades, lenders, different things like that. We'll have some fun door prizes and some free food and good information. So hopefully you guys can make it out to that. And the other thing I had was we also do we have a booth at Arts Beats and Eats, and we're looking for volunteers. So if anybody's interested, please reach out to me. It's slinging drinks, super fun. We're right by the main stage. So if you're excited to see like Genuine and Cool in the Gang, I'll be there that Monday. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Tinlin.
I'll keep it just to one. So just the CYA was on a hiatus for summer. We're going to be meeting on September 1st. So there'll be lots of great fall activities going on. And I've been nominated to serve as treasurer of the CYA now. So I'll be taking on that role as well. So we'll give more updates as we go.
In the interest of not using acronyms, it sounded like you were covering your something, so you might want to say what that is.
Clausen Youth Assistance. All right.
Congratulations on that, Mr. Tinlin. All right, and no comments from me tonight, so we'll move on to agenda item 16, consideration of going into closed session for the purpose of receiving attorney-client privileged communication regarding the matters of Clausen Lodging, Inc. versus City of Clausen pursuant to MCL 15.268 GH MSA 4.180018A of the Open Meetings Act. Can I get a motion to go into a closed session?
Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we go into closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268 GH MSA 4.1800-18A.
Support.
Before the vote, might I opine on something with
Please.
respect to this? Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We received an offer, and the reason why I initially wanted to go into closed session was to discuss that offer with you on this particular matter, the Clausen Lodging matter. Of course, this is one of those tax tribunal cases, and as part of before we have a conversation with council, we of course have a conversation with our assessor with respect to this. This offer was just about half of the actual valuation of the current assessment. It would be a recommendation both from our assessor and myself to actually reject this offer. That being the case, knowing that information, I'm wondering if you would entertain still and would want to still talk about it in closed session, or whether that is sufficient information for our purposes to move forward and continue litigating the case without settling at this particular point on account of our sort of administration's belief that this is too low a bar.
So it would come back to us at a different time when you were more.
That's right.
So we would vote no on the going to closed session,
If
and then
you-
we could go home.
And then we could go home. Yes, ma'am. So if you all vote no, then I'll take that as the answer and proceed forward for our purposes.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Do you want to give us a roll call?
Councilmember Peltonen,
Yes. No. Yeah, yes to being done, no.
Councilmember Slawinski,
No.
Too enthusiastic about it.
Councilmember Spishak,
No.
Councilmember Tinlin,
No.
Mayor Moffett,
No.
Councilmember Duberstein,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
No.
Thank you so much.
All right, that motion fails. Item number 17, if I can get a motion to adjourn.
Mayor Pro Tem, I give a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Slawinski. Councilmember Spishak,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Duberstein,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke,
Yes.
and Councilmember Peltonen.
Yes.
Thank you and have a great evening, night, I mean.